And welcome to Dare to Disagree, ladies and gentlemen, your weekly episodic podcast where we, regular Joes, much better and smarter than you guys, tell you guys how to fix the issues in your life and figure out societal issues that are complex. We break it down for you, Barney style. I'll be your host, Jonathan Esther, out of California.
This is Alone in the Dark out here in Colorado.
And this is Puppet Master, your closet racist with all the white knowledge.
Wow! I should probably let him know that I'm black as I say white power. He could get it. Anyway, that's the show. That's the show today.
You're late 90% of the time. They know, man. They know.
In case, maybe some other brothers are showing up right around, brother o'clock too. So
the brother o'clock.
CP time, as they call it. But anyway, Alone in the Dark. You wanna kick off with your thing first?
Yeah. So mine was just a little chill. But have you ever had times when you have to edit your own self because you know that you're out of line? Okay. I'll give you an example, okay? As you guys know, I'm a very open-minded, caring, golden-hearted person, you know what I mean?
Is that what that is? Huh.
And I'm very, I love all my races of people, and especially all my races of women. But I noticed something, okay, coming like last week or so, that I am racist against a particular group, okay? And I had to step back to realize that in order to move forward properly. I have to temper my attitude towards this group because I know I'm out of line, okay? And that group is, funnily enough, Iranians.
What? Man, I just lost so much on black people. I just lost so much on black people. Go ahead.
Oh, man.
I was like, this is it. He's coming out. He's going to put on his SS hat and Martian boots.
Let me explain this because I had to figure it out, because every time somebody, and I don't really have that issue with any other Middle Eastern group, you talk about freaking Saudis, I'm going to go, their government's a little ridiculous, whatever, or talk about, it doesn't fucking bother me, But the moment I hear somebody go, yeah, I'm Iranian, it really just immediately triggers a I want to get away from this person type of situation. And I have to tell myself, whoa, asshole, stop. You don't know this fucking guy. What are you doing? I'll explain to you. And here's the funny part about the situation is my biological father is Iranian, And as far as I know, I say is because I assume he's still alive. I haven't talked to the guy in, 15, 20, probably about 15 years, if not longer, okay? But here's the reason I have a problem with Iranians, even though I'm half Iranian myself, okay? Number one, I don't identify to it at all. It doesn't even occur to me because my dad was out of my life way fucking early, okay? I have to go into the dredges of my memory to pull up any fucking remembrance of him, I got my stepdad, who was white, blonde hair, blue eyes, and my mom, who's a pretty fucking white person, then my little sister between the two of them, who again, white, blonde hair, okay, and then my family, a whole bunch of white, mostly blonde, this and that. That's what I grew up in. That's what I pretty much identified with. Okay? Not saying I didn't understand, yeah, this isn't my actual family, but it didn't really occur to me. And the first time it ever really occurred to me is when we had a census worker back in the 2000 census come to our house, and that's when they had a whole list of shit they would ask you. I mean, they were sitting with the head of household for like a fucking hour going over that shit, okay? And the guy said something, like, as I was walking into where they were talking, he said something like, what is the race of all the people in your family? Which my stepfather said, Caucasian, right? And the guy looked at me, looked at my dad, and said, "Everybody?" What the fuck did he mean by that? And that's what, at that point I really had to think, oh shit, it's not, because I would tell people, yeah, my dad's alright, but I always figured it was, if I didn't tell you, nobody knew. But every so often, shit like that would happen. 99% of the time, people treat me just like a fucking white person, But every so often, people ask questions. I'm like, what are you talking about? Then it hits me. Oh yeah, my dad, my actual dad wasn't white, because really Iranians are a Caucasian race. They're not Middle Eastern, they're not Arab. They're Persian, which bears its roots to Caucasians, right? That's why the Iran sounds just like Aryan. That's what they were going for with that. There's reasons behind all this shit, okay? But the reasons why I'm racist towards Iranians is, number one, those few memories I could pull up of my actual dad is him either beating the shit out of my mom or his next wife on the short time I was around that family, okay? Obviously, no good memories, okay? After that, I remember instances like, there's a movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, I want to say like Not Without My Daughter or something like that. But there's a movie where the same shit, like this white woman marries a freaking Iranian guy. He's super nice to her. They go on a trip to Iran, and he starts beating the shit out of her. And this woman has to like sneak out of fucking Iran while she's being terrorized the whole time. So again, this is me seeing that movie as a kid. Again, okay, apparently that's just their thing, And then I remember talking to another guy, like there was some Iranian guy came to a place I was working, and me and him were, shooting the shit about something. And he asked, yeah, so your dad's there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so, what's the issue there? I'm like, oh, he's not in my life. He hasn't been. He's like, what, did he beat your mom? I was like, yeah, But
matter of fact, he did.
He told it right off the bat, And I mean, his reaction was pretty much along the lines of, yeah, that happens, So whenever nowadays, even though it's pretty rare that I ever find my way around any free type of Iranian people, whenever that comes up, it immediately triggers oh, these are a bunch of fucking wife-beating scumbags. And I have to pull myself back going, wait, no, I can't just label all these people like that, So I have to like actively temper myself whenever I'm dealing with that particular fucking race.
I'm trying to think if I have anybody that I do that to. I'm sure I do. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well,
I do. I do it to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Iranian. I hate them all.
Dag nabbit, get out of my country, Trump 2016.
I know it would be 100% Africans,
I don't. It's not even that.
I want to hear Mike's take on this because I know where he's going.
Sweet Jesus. That's why that mug needs to be here right now. He's got things to teach us. But I don't know. I can't. I'd have to say the closest I have to that, but it doesn't alter my behavior. It's just I get the worst of that kind of tension from them. Because for every other race, it's, some people are hits, some people are misses. Usually more misses than hits. I don't have a bunch of people. And it's Asian, but Chinese Asian, like first generation Chinese especially. Not Japanese, not Vietnamese, not Filipino. I get along with all those other guys. First generation Chinese, though, for some reason, whenever I've come in contact with them, it's always been a thing of like, I think they're being racist, but I don't understand them. There's certain things that are avoided that don't need to be avoided. Like, it's nothing as blatant as like clutching their purse when I walk by, but it's something as blatant as I walk in and I can feel them walk back, even though they're not physically walking back. Their body is just wanting to move away. It's just I don't know.
They
Maybe
start
it's my paranoia.
They start swaying backwards.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've never really pursued the thought because I was always like, you're a minority of a minority. I'm all right, but still.
We go from that normal smile to that uncomfortable smile, like hi.
They do that rude thing where, like, literally, they'll. I think the closest to polite I'll get is hello, and then but the cadence of the hello is so rude, like hello, how I help you, and that's super derogatory what I just did right there. But that's like the closest I can get an approximation. What happened? I'm sorry for the derogatory comment, but I'm trying to express a thought here. I don't know how.
Oh my God.
I was
Very curt and short.
turned out you just did. Jesus, carry on.
Hey, look, I put it out there. That was terrible. I understand. I'm just saying they're very.
That remind me of Team America when they got that guy singing karaoke. Won't we show won't we?
Why did you do South Park? Why did you do it?
Oh, is it South Park?
No, you're right. It's from Team America, but it's the South Park guys.
Oh God. Oh
They're the ones
man.
that-
You're
So
killing
yeah, no,
me.
I think that's the closest I have to an issue with that. But it's just it doesn't matter where I've been either. It's always not second generation Chinese or Americanized Chinese. Americanized Chinese love black people. In fact, love us a little too much. Like I've met two of them, and within like the span of an hour with them, they ventured to say the N-word, which had me in a weird place because I'm like, I really want to be angry at you, but we don't really have a history, do we, with you? So
Yeah, they only enslave their own people.
so, I wanted to get offended, but I was like, I got no ground there. I got no moral high ground to freaking venture off of it. You got it. Enjoy it. It's odd, but like first generation, like if I go to a family house and it's predominantly family Chinese, they do the thing where they'll go to the kitchen real quick and whisper before they come out, and then hello, and then that's it. I don't get any other polite conversation or weather or nothing. You know, nothing about lice, nothing at all, nothing.
They're afraid they're going to sound like Team America.
They probably do. I never get the chance to find out. Is my complaint. That's the closest. I can't think of anything else.
It's just an interesting situation to me, and it makes me wonder, like, because I play that back, like, is that how real racists feel? Just like, look at this. Look at this freaking person over here just being all their race and shit. Disgusting.
I don't want to say
No.
this, but
No, I would tell you that that's not how a legitimate racist feels, because a legitimate racist has hate, not avoidance. There's a difference.
And Puppet Master would know.
Yep. Like I said, I hate them all, everybody.
That's why we have him on the show, man. We need an expert.
Yep.
He's our
So much for the closet.
pushes his Poindexter glasses up his nose. Excuse me. No, we hate them. Hate.
Oh, geez. So what's your topic there?
But actually, it's a perfect segue. Speaking of hate, my topic is a question really to you guys, and it's something that me and Alone in the Dark have talked about a little bit. I'm pretty sure I've ventured in that conversation with Puppet Master, but I can't remember. We've had plenty of drunk talks at his house, so.
Oh Lord.
I think we ventured in that domain before.
I'm pretty sure we solved world peace at one time, but I don't remember.
Too drunk. That's what happens with the blues. Apple pie, man. But
yeah, apple pie. That and gin.
I've noticed recently, like I ran into a thing recently where people are starting to try to deny slavery. And it's happened like clearly enough now that it's showing up in other things. Like there's recently, I don't know if you guys know, in Texas, they released a book in Texas, and instead of saying, it was slavery, they said it was indentured servants, pretty much.
Forced occupation.
Well, they were basically what the history, and it was a history book. What it was saying was, it wasn't saying that they were forcefully taken from their homes. It was saying that these people were taken as indentured servants from their homes and were paid and stuff like that. So it downplayed a little bit about how vicious slavery was, but it wasn't the first. Yeah?
The funny part about that is a lot of people try and play that shit off, that indentured servants, like it was totally the same thing as slavery. It had some things similar. You couldn't walk away. There's times you were treated like terrible shit, this and that. But at the end of the day, you still had rights as a person. You could go vote. Your freaking the person holding your contract couldn't rape you. They didn't own your kids. It was huge humanizing differences between indentured servitude and slavery. And people try and sell bullshit stories because a lot of white people became indentured servants. They would do that to pay the fare to come across. The shit wasn't cheap coming from Europe to the U.S. So they would say, hey, I'll give you 5-7 years of my life if you will fucking move me there, blah, 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 That was a deal, and you got out of it at a certain time. Totally different from slavery. By definition, totally different from slavery. That isn't a similar thing to slavery at all.
Yeah. But I was saying, and there's some of these issues, for example, where I understand. I understand some of the traction. Like if you're a 9/11 denier, I can understand how you could become a 9/11 denier. The explosion of Tower 7 can seem iffy, especially if you don't know engineering. It could just be like, well, the planes never hit this building. Why did this building go down? So that can be real creepy. Things like the moon landing, I think it's a little more far-fetched. I also understand, but I think that's way too far-fetched. Things like the moon landing or like vaccines. But then you get into things like we talked about, like the Holocaust deniers and the slavery deniers, which, again, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. And I was explaining it to, like, my perception of it to Alone in the Dark earlier, where I just think it's like, okay, you're a white guy, you've grown up, and for most of your life, anytime, like you're of German descent, anytime you try to say anything, everybody just kind of finishes every diss with, well, my people didn't start the Holocaust, and bam, you lost, So after a while, you're looking for any way to make yourself feel better, and you hear a rumor somewhere that claims might be widely exaggerated, like the Nantung massacre, the one in China.
Nanking,
thank you. Same thing, where if you talk to the Chinese government and you see what they say it's basically the numbers are exaggerated, even though even conservative estimates of anyone not part of the Chinese government is like it was Japanese government. Thank you. Tons of people died. But I was curious why the deniers come up. Like in a thing like the Holocaust and moon landing and vaccines, even though I can put myself in the shoes of somebody who comes up with it, I can't understand the mental process behind someone coming up with something that terrible. I mean, it's pretty documented. There are people that are Holocaust survivors that exist today. It's weird to me that someone can just come up and be like, look, I've heard this information on the news. It's not in any of the history books. This random one historian in all of these historians says this, and I believe him over everybody else. I was just wondering if you guys had like an idea why you think it might happen.
Well, to me, I think there's two different groups who believe that shit. Number one is the people who are peddling it, and almost bar none, they're people with specific agendas in mind. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look up people who deny the Holocaust, it's never just a historian, just a regular historian who decided to take a look into it from a different angle and came up with a different decision. It's always a guy who has a history of hating Jews, has written books about how Jews fucking ruined the world and blah, blah, blah. It's never just a historian.
Like a third party. It's always someone with a bias.
It's always somebody in the fucking mix, okay? But those are those people who have a specific agenda in mind for this version of history to exist, okay? Like we were talking about Japan last time, how Japan was, denying a lot of the atrocity. Not necessarily denying, okay, even though there is a lot of denials coming out of them, but more so going, everybody did something wrong. You guys are just hammering us because we lost the war and you can do it. It's not nearly as big a deal as you're making it. That's because according to Japan, people keep throwing it in their face during like political debates and freaking treaties and shit like that. So it's always just thrown in their face to keep on the back foot. So ignoring that, pretending it never happened, puts them in a better fucking position politically. Okay? I'll give you another example, and this is one that's actually going on right now, and it's crazy because of how it's working. There's a prime minister right now saying that Hitler never really wanted to kill the Jews.
Yeah.
Wanted to get him out of Germany, of his fucking territory. A Muslim mufti is the one who convinced him to kill the Jews instead of moving him out, because that mufti did not want the Jews to leave Germany or wherever they were coming from and enter his country. Okay? Have you heard about this, Puppet Master?
Yeah, I heard.
No, this is actually a first for me. This is interesting.
Yeah, no, it's Israeli.
But let's put something straight. I don't blame Hitler. Jews killed Jesus, so this is no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's an Israeli prime minister who is trying to sell this? Is trying to say Hitler wasn't as bad. He's still saying Hitler did bad shit, but he wasn't as bad, which seems crazy for a Israeli prime minister. But what could possibly be the motivation for him selling this new version of history?
Oh, damn it, I'm trying to remember. He had actually a pretty good reason why. It benefited him very much greatly.
This is an Israeli prime minister saying that Germans aren't bad as everybody thinks they are. He's probably trying to build an alliance so that he's not the weak man in the middle of all the Muslims and Russia backing him.
No, he's trying to make Syria look terrible.
No, that's true. No, the Mufti is one of the ancestors. They can be tracked back to current Palestine.
Oh.
So now that could be said, these Palestinians right here that we just happen to have missiles and guns pointed at are the ones that caused all those Jews to die in the Holocaust. Now they're not just people's fucking, it's not a territory dispute. Now you guys fucking got us killed in the Holocaust. He has a specific purpose for that new version of history, which is what I always see when you have one of these deniers come out. Holocaust, slavery, blah, blah, blah. They have a specific agenda. Now, the people who believe that shit are either A, the same thing as that person. They have an agenda that they already wanted to go that way. This is just another fucking tack in the fucking name. Or B, people who just want to believe out their shit because it makes them feel smarter than the general public. You guys all believe in the moon landing. I'm not as dumb as all of you. I know it was fake.
Look, you always find proof of these deniers are false. There's always proof, right? It's slavery. Look back in the records and see whose livestock count dropped when slavery ended. And because you think about it, that's how they accounted for some of their slaves was literally like a livestock count.
Yeah,
they were property. They were cattle, So you can't deny this to a certain point. You can if you don't want to pay attention to legitimate, records, but you can research this shit. There's legitimate records on all of this.
Yeah.
Well, here's the funny part. The guy who was trying to convince me was going off the writings of like what is, you remember him Alone in the Dark? What was he, like a freelance writer for something?
Oh yeah, I'll find his name.
Yeah, well, there's this freelance writer who has this theory about slavery, and it wasn't, there were probably more white slaves than there were black slaves.
Oh.
Yeah, it was good. And the root of his argument was based off one main manifesto, and I looked it up, of a ship that docked into Virginia. I think it's the manifesto is in the Virginia Museum. I looked it up on that website. It docked into Virginia, and it had a manifest of slaves, and the names of the slaves were Caucasian, mostly Caucasian. Which I didn't get the chance to look over that manifest a lot, but I told the guy, I was like, okay, that's one manifest. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here, even though I disagree. How many more of these can you produce? Of course, that was the only one he could produce.
Yeah, and did they ever remember the fact that Africans didn't get to keep their names in most
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. When they got sold. When they got sold, they got named. That was it.
Go down that route. I actually walked up to him because I told him, I was like, look, no, I'm gonna be, tabula rasa. I'm coming in here, blank slate. Give me what you have, and I'm gonna go on the basis of your right. I'm just being inquisitive. And the second I asked him, like, can you produce, I was like, I'm agreeing with you right now. Let's say you're right. Can you produce more of these manifests? Because this could be a singular event. Are there more of these? And he was like, you just got to do the research and you got to find it. Like, I thought you did the research. You're so confident. You must have done the research. Where's the rest of this? You just look around online, you'll find it. And it went into that direction. Which was just kind of like, all right, here's where I have to call bullshit. Because I have issues with the manifest, but even giving you the benefit of the doubt, it's one manifest when you're talking about generations of plantation owners admitting, yeah, my historical record says I have majority black slaves.
Jim Goad, that's the guy.
Jim Goad, that's the guy. Which is hilarious because nobody is saying that they weren't indentured. No one is saying that there weren't white people being enslaved either. In fact, there is an argument to white people being the most enslaved people on planet Earth. There's an argument to that if you count the whole world and people being enslaved everywhere. There's a chance. We don't know. Somebody would have to tally up the numbers. I'm not going to sit here and argue against it. But if you're talking American history, you're going to kind of have to bring better numbers, buddy. This is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, he's and that's kind of the issue is people will jump on these obscure sources, and if you pull up, hey, look at this after this after this, suddenly all that shit is just work of the man, okay? And I'll give you an example. One time I had who the fuck is that guy? Alex Jones, okay?
Yeah.
That dude has his fucking shows, this and that, and he is selling bullshit all the time. I mean, he says factually incorrect shit that you could just fucking open up an encyclopedia and see dude's wrong, okay? But then he makes all these predictions that you can't prove wrong, I mean, yeah, maybe. But a funny part is I know a lot of people, really, good people who buy a lot of the shit that guy's selling, okay? Yeah. And I'll pull up, dude, look at their bullshit here. Like, one example this guy used was 9/11 was for sure a government plot because there was no plane wreckage found at the thing. So I showed the guy, here is picture after picture of plane wreckage found at the Pentagon. It's fucking all over, dude.
Yeah.
As
a guy who was in Baltimore at that point in time, yeah, no, it was live on TV. You couldn't avoid the wreckage.
So another party pulled up. There was this thing, probably about this big, a metal fucking, looked like a gear, okay, that was laying on the ground. And Alex Jones had specifically pointed at that, saying that thing right there does not exist in a 747 engine. There is nothing that size in there. Dude, I went down and it showed the breakdown. Some fucking, 30-year engineer broke it down, and there was like 4 fucking pieces like that in a fucking 747 engine that perfectly matched it. I was like, dude, he straight up lied to you right there. Here it is. Here's the proof. Here's the diagram of that engine. This isn't a fucking secret fucking machine here. It's a 747 engine. They're all over the fucking place. Here's the diagram. Here's the breakdown. There's the piece that engineer is saying he believes that is. What now? Well, these people are paid to lie to you.
Yeah.
So I had to pull up Alex Jones' house. Okay? Alex Jones is paid incredibly well for the shit he's fucking selling. He is just as highly paid, if not more so, than the Bill O'Reillys, the fucking Megyn Kellys, the fucking MSB, or those motherfuckers that nobody can remember their goddamn names. He is extremely well paid. So why is it so impossible that this guy's getting paid off, but you're so sure that these people over here are getting paid off?
Yeah, the guy owns InfoWars, so it wouldn't be impossible for him to be getting paid better than the actual anchors.
Yeah, I mean, he makes huge amounts of money. One example that is, look, he put his CD on his or his newest CD, talking about all this shit, on his website for people to pick up for free. That's showing that he's a good person. No, bands have been doing that. Well, they'll put the CD on there. You guys could download it for free. Leave us a donation if you like it. And
you two fucking did it.
Yeah, a lot of those bands are making more money doing it that way than actually selling the CDs. Just give us donations if you'd like it. You're gonna illegally download it anyways. Here it is. Here's our fresh copy. You can download it from us. If you would like it, just give us a fucking donation. And depending on the band's following, they can make more money doing that than selling the fucking thing legitimately. Alex Jones made a fucking ton of money doing it like that because of his following. It was a good business decision for him to make the most money to do it like that. Not he was being a fucking, a saint and handing this shit out, So that's kind of where my issues with a lot of this shit comes from is people require so much less proof for these outlandish people like Alex Jones than they do from legitimate sources. These legitimate sources could show, here it is, you freaking idiots, vaccines do not cause autism. That's all made up, the pharmaceutical countries pay that shit off, this and that. Some idiot in a fucking bathtub could show, yeah, look I just did an experiment 15 minutes ago. It says vaccines. Oh, I believe that. What? Why did you believe that guy while you refuse to believe this person over here with peer-reviewed scientific studies,
Now, I have an opinion as to, I don't know why people go that far, but I have an opinion as to why people lean towards their aspirations. I think you guys will agree with this. I'm sure we've talked about this too. Pride is such a motherfucker to people these days. Like, it takes, and I'm noticing it's really hard to see people do this these days, but watching someone take serious constructive criticism and being forced to take responsibility for something is brutal. Like, people can't handle it. Being so wrong, you have to endure that burden of having been wrong, instead of people taking it as a teachable moment and like, okay, I've been taught about this, let me walk away with a lesson from this experience. People would much rather cling to the lie. In fact, there's a guy that you all know, I don't know if Puppet Master remembers him, Peterson.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, I know Alone in the Dark remembers him. Puppet Master, I'll remind you after the show. Peterson's a friend we used to know back when me and Alone in the Dark were in the military. But Peterson once talked to me, and he said something which I really appreciated because it mattered. It made a lot of things later on in my life make sense. And we were watching some guy argue, and the guy basically at the end of the argument goes, you're right, my bad, and walks away. And Peterson was like, man, that dude's a bitch. I would never fucking do that. I was like, what? He was wrong. Why wouldn't you do that? And he was like, look, man, I don't care if I'm wrong. I go to my grave standing on my point. Which was the dumbest thing I had ever heard at that point. And I turned to, and it was one of those things where, like, you have a really good friend, you really look up to him. Well, not look up to him, but you think he's a cool dude. And then he just says something out of his face, and you just go, that guy was in you all along? Holy shit. And he said it, and at the time, it kind of ruined our friendship. I'm not as close to him as I was before that comment, after that comment. But I will forever be thankful because it makes so much sense to me now when I see people do what you said. They'll take the tiny shred of proof over all the mountain of proof, like global warming.
Oh, jeez.
See, look, I don't think it starts there. I think that's pride that takes over after you've bought into the bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to this. I think there's so much distrust in the mainstream media and the mainstream corporate anything that people look for anything else other than that, even if it means you're trusting the quack with the bathtub doing an experiment, because they don't trust anything we're being told from any kind of organization that has any relations to either the government or to a media source, and that's the problem.
You can say the man. You can say it.
No, I'm talking in general. Like that, they look for anything that is not the popular thing, because the popular thing obviously had to come either from some puppet of the government or puppet of the media, and I don't want to listen to that guy. I'm going to listen to that guy because he's got the unpopular opinion, and this is how he backed it up. And once you buy into that, then your pride takes over, and then we're in deep waters with arguments of ridiculously.
Yeah.
And you got a great point, because there is times that we've been lied to. Like, for example, you guys heard about what me and you guys grew up on, that food pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was 100% bullshit, and they knew it was bullshit when they made it.
Yeah.
My issue is I totally understand not buying everything that's given to you, because a lot of times it turns out to be bullshit. My issue is don't drop your standards when you look elsewhere.
Oh no, I agree, but that's what happens once you've bought in. Once you find something that you've bought into, you fucking start. I don't know. Your pride takes over, and then someone debunks your one thing that you bought on. So you start scrounging for other reasons to still believe in that, and that's when you come up with the guy with the bathtub doing experiments. And then once someone debunks that, they'll come up with another fucking reason why they should continue believing what they're believing. The pride takes over. It's the initial buy-in to a fucked up point of view, and that has a lot to do with the man. Fucking corporate and fucking government. They're scared to death of getting tricked again, over and over and over again.
I would add to that and also say I think another reason is, and I would consider it the polar opposite of what you said, which I don't know if it is or not, but that's what I would consider it. I think there's also because of that lack of trust, on the other side of the spectrum, there's this huge influx of information, and it's like there's a word for it. Okay, when you go in a store and you see a bunch of products, you just want one, but you have all these varieties of products. It's called shopper paralysis, where you'll walk in a store and you see like cans of beans, for example, and you got to buy just one can of bean, but you got 12 different brands of the fucking same type of bean on there. So now you're in a state where you're trying to figure out which one is the right information. And I know it's kind of weird, but I'm leading somewhere with it. The example I'm going to use here is going to give Puppet Master a freaking erection immediately. I experienced this when trying to research about Benghazi. There was much information that was just completely all over the place. Just counterproof upon counterproof upon counterproof about this same topic. And I couldn't for the life of me, even when I found like actual media, I could find 2 left-wing or 2 right-wing websites, and they would be accusing each other of not being honest enough or being, exaggerating, even though they would be on the same side about this argument. And it just got so ridiculous to one point where at this point I just don't give a fuck about Benghazi anymore. But I can now understand why that guy is going like, yeah, I'll listen to the guy in the tub. Same reason.
Yeah, and you know what the worst part is that you get the one guy who, you know, bought into something and he believes it wholeheartedly, and then he talks to a family member or a friend, and that person's so trusting that they literally buy into it just because that other guy bought into it, and now you start this cascading effect of fucking retards that believe
Oh.
the guy in the bathtub. You know,
Here's a story along those lines. My family's first generation Africans, as you guys know. I don't know if those guys know. But, yeah. And my aunt, I was having a conversation with my aunt, and I'm agnostic. But I'm not like anti-spiritual world, whatever, it could be. But one thing I'm definitely anti is I'm anti-exorcisms. I don't think it's a real thing. I don't think people are getting possessed by spirits. For me, the dogma makes no sense. If God gave you the right for choice, why would he give demons the right to take over your body? That makes no sense to me. But I'm talking to my aunt, who I have high respect for and love dearly. And as we're talking, I'm just telling her, yeah, look, I just, maybe it's real, but I don't personally believe in it. I've never seen it. And I've noticed whenever you start involving people doing scientific research or cameras around it, it disappears. Look at ghost hunters and shit like that. And she's quiet. She's listening to me the whole time. And at the end of it, she goes, look, I know you don't believe in it, but you believe in me and you trust me, right? I was like, yeah, of course. And she's like, well, just know this. I saw an exorcism before. In fact, I saw your grandfather perform an exorcism.
And now you went, yeah, you know what? Now I don't believe in you anymore.
Point well taken. There you go. You just proved my point. You know, it's not that your aunt is a fucking idiot, but I'm just saying.
I love you to death, but I can't do this. This has to end here. How do I? Because of course my follow-up question was like, look, and I'm trying to be gentle. I go, look, I'm sure you saw what you saw. You felt was an exorcism. I'm sure everyone around you felt it was an exorcism. But I assure you, it was not an exorcism. And here's my simple proof. My simple proof. If you've seen it and you're this familiar with it, you can find it again. Find it, record it, and I am a believer.
Oh. I'd have responded with, if he can do that, can he remove me from your bloodline?
Because it was just.
I think the big issue is people fail to understand how vulnerable you are to suggestion. And that's everybody, okay? Like, for example, I could find something that everybody disbelieves. Like, how about those fucking healers, those televangelist healers who are running around with their jackets and healing their fucking wounds? Those people who are falling over, they're not all in on the act. They are seriously believing they're going through a supernatural fucking experience, okay? And they're going through the fucking motions. Matter of fact, there was an example of a guy who was using his chi to knock out people.
Oh my god, that was a great video.
And did you see the one where he actually challenged an
MMA fighter? Yep, I saw it. Oh, it was beautiful.
Dude tried to use his chi against this MMA fighter, and the rumor is he bribed the MMA fighter before the fight to throw the fight. The MMA fighter took the money and still beat the living shit out of him on TV.
What's he gonna do? I'm gonna sue you because I bribed you.
So, and of course that's nobody's admitted to that. But okay, that guy probably knows he's bullshitting. Okay, none of his students are in on the joke, dude. They were seriously being knocked down by this guy's chi powers. And when shit just gets too inflamed and too much, and there's too many people around you buying it, people start getting in on it. There's a great show on Netflix. It's like Brain Games or something like that.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
And there was one where they had a group of people and they were watching some dude doing card tricks, right? While they're watching this, some dude gets fucking mugged like right next to him. Okay. They go through the freaking they have like detectives talking to them to see, get the eyewitness case. They're trying to solve the case, and they were sitting there. There was like 15 of these fucking people, and they brought it down, as they're talking to this investigator, that yeah, it was a long-haired woman in a white jacket who was harassing this guy, and then while she's doing it, somebody ran up behind and stole his wallet and took off, right? They all, and they had people, I will fucking testify to that shit, that's what happened. I remember it, I saw it, and these people did see it. They were standing there. They were like 15 feet away when this shit happened, okay? Turned out that the show had put 2 people in there who were fucking bait people to say that lady had a white jacket. She didn't. She had a black jacket on. Like, at least 90% of those people totally remembered seeing her having a white jacket.
Goddamn sheep.
2 people out of 15 just threw the whole fucking group off, dude. And that's how, everything's pliable, man. Your personality, your memory. You think your memory's solid, even if you're not in one of those bad cases where have Alzheimer's or something like that. You think your memory's good? That shit gets fucked up all the time. I've had a friend who listened to a story so many times about shit his other friends did that he thought he was in that story. If somebody had to tell, wait, you weren't there. Remember, you were fucking out because of this. But he totally thought he was there. He was telling that story like he was there. He wasn't lying. He just totally thought he was there.
What was the dude? Yeah, man. Round Table Pizza is the best pizza ever. Sorry. For those who don't know, inside joke, we had a friend, we're watching a commercial for Round Table Pizza, and we're curious about Round Table Pizza, and he swore up and down that it was the best pizza he ever had. Fast forward a couple months down the line, we never ended up going that time, but we're talking about going in this time. And we turn and we go, oh yeah, you went there, you said it was amazing. And he turns to us and goes, I've never been to Round Table Pizza. And we go, dude, you said it was one of those things where if it had only been one of us individually, this might have been debatable, but we were all, it just so happened to be all the people were present there the second time that were present for the first time when he said it was amazing. So we could all as a unit turn around and go, no, we were all fucking there, and you said that you'd had it, and it was the best pizza ever. His theory is he saw the commercial so many times he remembered that it was the best pizza ever.
That's feasible. The shit.
So that's why I think there's some people out there who are selling bullshit, but I think most of them are they really believe what they're saying, man. They just really are honestly believing that shit. And I think it was worse because I've had, I'm always getting into some fucking arguments online, right? But I've never.
I can't imagine.
People beyond
Not you.
a certain age have a difference where they will believe something back before the internet and all that shit was around because somebody they trusted told them, and they will believe that shit for the rest of their fucking lives.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge, and it probably is not much better now. But right now, if you say some outlandish shit to somebody, they're gonna fucking Google it on their phone. You know what I mean?
Really? Watch this. Boop, 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 boop. Liar, bitch.
Before the 1990s, you didn't have that option. If somebody told you, yeah, those freaking, those blacks are naturally violent. You should see the murder rates in Africa. It's fucking ridiculous. You'll just buy that shit because you can't go get those answers unless you were an expert in the field. You couldn't actually go get legitimate answers.
Yeah.
Nowadays, any idiot could go look up expert level fucking studies and actually get real fucking answers. So I think it's really interesting. The more that takes off,
Which cracks me up. Why media coverage has gotten so much worse since the internet's come out. It should be better.
One of the funniest things I tell people is I've realized I know more about disasters through Facebook than I ever do looking at the news.
Yep.
Like when there was the shooting, when they were chasing that black dude up here, and the cops were trying to kill him. The cop that killed another cop.
Big Bear or wherever it was.
Big Bear. there were people in Big Bear updating on Facebook and Twitter about what was happening there that were see something on Twitter, and maybe 15 or 30 minutes later, the news would have the Twitter you saw 15 or 30 minutes ago on the news.
Yeah. It was a really interesting thing when that fucking factory exploded in China.
Oh, yeah.
China's always been really coy about telling the international community when shit like that happens. But they had no choice, because while it was going on, people were updating Twitter, updating Facebook, taking videos, blah, blah. This shit was all over fucking the internet before they even had a chance to make a statement. They didn't have the choice they could about bullshitting about it, about downplaying it or anything like that. They had to come clean right away. I mean, it's kind of like the, I can never say the fucking name, Chernobyl, right?
Chernobyl?
Chernobyl? Yeah, for some reason I can...
It's like a TR, Chernobyl.
I read that fucking name like millions of times before I ever heard somebody fucking say it. So I could never fucking say it. I was just going off what I thought it was pronounced as. Never could actually fucking do it. But that was a really big time for the USSR, because they wouldn't tell anybody else shit that was happening in there. There was people starving to death on the streets, and they were just, oh, everything's good, don't worry about it, When that thing blew up and radiation freaking detectors were going crazy across Europe, they couldn't deny it anymore. This was an international problem. They couldn't freaking deny it, and that ended up breaking up the entire Iron Curtain. Like, that let people, other governments and journalists and stuff like that come in there and see what was in dire straits in the USSR. And I mean, it can be argued that reactor blowing up was the fucking killing blow to the USSR. It ended up taking out that entire government because they couldn't keep shit secret anymore. Well, now this is happening due to the internet. Something happens, before the government can make a statement on it, people already know what the fuck's going on the streets. There's somebody out there live feeding it on YouTube, man. You can, somebody during the riots, there was a guy live feeding it on his phone, and you got to watch in real time as somebody ran by, stole his phone out of his hands, and you just see this fucking phone swinging as this dude's running the fuck away, dude. This shit's coming,
That's brutal.
It was hilarious, man. You just say, hey, hey, and you hear that guy fading off into the distance.
just another moment where real life just sucks. All right, man. Now, that was it for me, man. I was just really curious. I wanted to hear you guys' opinion on that.
Yeah, I gotta wrap it up.
All right. Parting shots. Alone in the dark, you got any?
I will say, Iranian women, I got no issues with you. I've never had a fucking bad thought about you in my life. So, just keep that in mind, ladies.
I will tell you that I think everyone's just a little bit racist.
Little. You be generous there, Puppet Master.
Hey. Let your body feel the hate. White power.
People are just a little racist. You're not really paying attention to freaking Slow Chemical and Cold Conscience.
What's really funny is when they're racist against their own people.
Black people on a level I didn't even see in freaking.
I was like, Slow Chemical has gotten to the point in his life where he straight up quit black women cold turkey. I don't know whether to cheer or boo him.
That's so confusing. Oh my god!
It is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And
how am I supposed to like black people if he can't like black people?
Slow Chemical also quit drinking, but he never talks about it. But he talks about quitting fucking all the time.
That is actually very true. That is very true.
That's so funny.
I think he really counts that as the more healthy decision between.
There's nothing about it. He does.
Hey, look, eliminating drama from your life will add years to your life. I promise you that.
Absolutely does, man. Anyway, my parting shot is real simple. I've said it for forever, but now I think it's more than ever it's important. I just think motherfuckers need to walk around with a decent sense of self-doubt, man. If you think you know it, just have a decent sense of self-doubt, just in case you're full of shit.
Yeah, Joe Rogan said a thing like, "You really believe this shit? You think you believe? Look up at the sky, motherfuckers. There's nuclear reactions going on as far as you can see. There's shit bigger than you could even imagine just getting thrown around up there at ridiculous speeds. And you really believe this shit down here?"
What did he say?
Little along that vaccines cause autism.
He was like motherfuckers are looking at look up at the sky and there's all this amazing shit going over here and you drove a mile and a half to go look at a ditch, the fucking Grand Canyon.
And they look up at the sky, they cut back, and Joe's got a huge blunt. I mean, is that what's going on here?
Yes, it is. To his credit,
look at the sky, man. Fucking, oh my God.
That motherfucker has never made it a secret.
All right, man. Let's close it.
All right, let's wrap it up. Well, I've been your host, Jonathan Esther.
This is Alone in the Dark. Wishing you a great weekend.
All right.
And this is Puppet Master, and I want to reiterate what I said last week. My life's better than yours.
White power. All right.
White power.
Call you fucks next week.
All right.